Welcome everyone to the BCxA Annual Member Meeting. We're excited you could all join us today and, doing everything virtual. We're learning as we go, but we're excited that you could join us today and hear about some of the amazing things going on. We are going to take some questions as they come, so feel free to post your questions in the question box. I'm not going to go through all the many functions you have on your control panel because I'm sure you're all well aware of those by now. And just get right to it and introduce our 2020 president, Mr. Dan Forino, and let him take over from here. Thanks, Dan.
All right, thank you, Liz. Thanks everyone for jumping on today, whether it be 4 o'clock in the eastern part of the United States with me and Mr. Penney, or all the way out in Oregon. So we appreciate you tuning in today. I will caveat this by saying I have a new office and I have an espresso maker in my office, and so I've got a big sign here that says "slow down" that I'm slowly drawing on because I know I tend to talk fast, and my afternoon coffee jolt did not help anything. So obviously we've had a very interesting year. I'm hoping that I am your only virtual BCxA president that you ever have to deal with. I'm hoping that next year we can turn out a little bit better, a little bit more attendance, and things return back to normal. But in today's presentation, I think we're really going to just look at all the positives we've had over this year, all the great successes from our team members, and everything we were able to accomplish over this rather difficult year. And I think we stepped up, and I'm real proud of everything we did, and looking forward to the future with this. So next slide, Liz, please. Okay, so it has been a year. So as we see here on the left, I was a human being at one point back in January, February, back at the leadership meeting where we had all these great plans for the year, what we're going to do, our conference plan for Phoenix, Arizona, hoping to get to a football game, a baseball game, everything in between, and then obviously as we returned from the leadership conference with all these great ideas, which we typically come back from. We want to hit the ground running, and then that's kind of that energy bolt. Instead, we hit the ground, and just everything came to a screeching halt as COVID hit us. So as you can see here, looking a little bit grisly over here with the first, second, third pictures. That is not Tom Hanks. That is me in the middle of pandemic. And then the last picture over here, we have myself in a new professional headshot over there. So I can clean up, and I am back to being a normal human being. So I'm glad I'm coming to you today from live and direct, and I've made it through. So next slide, Liz. Okay, so before we get into the meat and potatoes of the whole thing, just have to thank our sponsors out there. They're really helping provide the backing, whether it be financial backing, whether it be the sponsorship with the financial backing, at the same time just the support that each of these sponsors give us. So we can't thank them enough. We know them all dear to our heart. Thank you, Horizon Engineering, McKinstry, our gold sponsors, JB&B and Page. Our solo silver sponsor in Grumman Buckus, thank you, Mr. Villani, and our track sponsors in Blue Rhythm, Copper Tree, Facility Grid, and In8. So again, whether it be the finances you provide us or the resources and time that you give us over the years, and allowing us to continue to strive in with our great organization. Again, we couldn't do it without all your collective support. So thank you so much to all our sponsors out there. So again, we met back in Phoenix, it seems like a lifetime ago at this point. So it's back in February. If I'm off on that, I apologize. But this is just some of the great things that we had planned. Number one was Mr. Villani holding axes, and we were going to get this. We were going to get axe tattoos at the conference, but I guess that got nixed till next year. So, but we really had some great things planned at the leadership conference to go over where we were looking for the organization to go. Planning for committees such as the 20 under 40 committee, my personal goals of reinvigorating the organization with some younger members, just to make sure that we're, being sustainable within our organization, revamping the awards committee, reestablishing some of our best practices, and just, overall what we go over at our leadership conference, but at the same time, the networking and bonding that we experience, during this time is unmeasurable in value in terms of just getting together, finding out how everyone across the country is doing, what they're doing, because, at the core of it, and I think we've realized this more and more, in past years, but I'd say especially this year, this is a family. Everyone who's on this call and everyone who's at these conferences, we're definitely a tight-knit group. We have fun with each other. At the same time, we're there to get, business done. So next slide. So our goals for 2020, just kind of formally, was recruiting younger professionals to the commissioning industry and getting them engaged in the organization. So historically, commissioning, there necessarily isn't a degree for it, but it's experience. It's education, experience, and time. You can't train experience. So just looking at how can we recruit that? How can we make training available for those younger individuals so they have the tools, and we're passing on the wealth of information that that we have to them, just to get them prepared for the future and prepared for leading us into the next evolution of this commissioning thing that we call commissioning. Revising and adding to the awards program. One of them was going to be the 20 under 40 awards, which I have to say was successful, and we're going to be presenting the awards today. The update on the BCx website and branding. Defining an education and training path for new entrants into commissioning with the 20 under 40 program, so kind of in tandem with that, and then kind of a formal organization of our advocacy efforts. So, okay, so what did we do to look to recruit more of our young professionals? And I know I mentioned it before, but we're really going to highlight all the successes that we had, even with our pandemic year. We're looking just to look at everything that we've done and we've taken, and we've been able to still execute and meet our goals that we set out at leadership, maybe in a little bit of a modified manner. But we're real proud of what we've done and where we've come to meet our goals. So that's really going to be our recap today. So the development of the 20 under 40 recognition program. So this came as a part of the, engaging the next generation of leadership. The application went out in August. There was a little bit of a hesitation, not a hesitation, there's a little bit of a worry in the number of applications we had at the onset. I know I checked in with Nicole and Liz a day or two before it was due, and, we were just hovering around the cusp. We were looking not to have 20 entrants and 20 winners, and then at the last minute, surprisingly, like every other awards program we've had, we had an influx and doubled that to, close to over 40 applications overall for the program. So, we're going to let John talk about that a little bit later, but really, really proud of and great to see the young leadership that we have in the commissioning industry, and the potential for that to help grow our organization. Looking to focus the training that's specific for new entrants in the profession at the CX conference. So, we were able to do that virtually. And that's kind of dual-fold in that we were able to focus on the entry-level tracks and newer sessions and things that were a little bit more accessible for more of the entry-level or beginning professional engineer. But at the same time, I think having the virtual conference really allowed individuals to either participate or to partner with their existing organizations and existing BCA members to become involved, to have access to the training material that they may not have had otherwise if it was an in-person conference. And, I know we're all worried about billing and, lost time. So having it virtually with the pandemic, we were definitely able to enhance our participation. Our participation numbers, which we'll go over, were great, but, at the same time, we're not able to track the people who were just sitting in the room and learning from the sessions without necessarily being logged in or getting the AIA credits they may not need specifically. And then also working with other associations in partnership with trying to recruit young professionals, mainly the ACES organization. Next slide. Okay, so revising and adding of the awards program. So we touched on the 20 under 40 recognition program, which has been a success. Also, just making sure that we continue on with our Benner Award, which was awarded at this year's this year's inaugural meeting, videocast, vlog, whatever we want to call it at this point, to the New York City Department of Design and Construction. They were very appreciative of the award. I've spoken with them multiple times about it. And then also, awarded the President's Awards and the Project Awards. The President's Award we will be awarding at the Social Hour in a couple of weeks. I believe that's planned for early November. So look out for that notification to find out the winners for this year's award, and then also a revamp of our Project Awards. An establishment of what we're looking for, grading and everything. So that was a little bit of a delay on some of these, just not being in person to be able to develop these, but they are rolling, and we're looking to support these as best we can. Okay, so updating the BCA website and branding. So I got to say that there was a lot of work that got put into this, and I think it looks really great. I don't know if everyone knows that it's been out there. It's been communicated by Liz for us to go in and basically try and on the executive board and the IBOD to go in and try and break the website theoretically. And what do commissioning providers like more than going in and trying to break a technology or troubleshoot a system? So definitely a great platform. The new platform has a refreshed branding and website design. It ensures the SEO and analytics are actually working, so we can get good data from them. Mobile friendly. I don't know how many times I've had heartache trying to use the old website on my mobile device and just run into wall after wall of non-configuration. And then just a much better organization of our resources so they're readily available and people can understand just the plethora of resources that we have as an organization, and it's ready at the fingertips instead of having to do that deep dive of kind of that, we'll call it that Wikipedia deep dive of trying to figure out where everything is and so forth. So definitely great. If you haven't gone to it, it's the same web address. Make sure you jump on and tinker with it. If you do find anything that's a little out of whack, make sure to let the team know, and we'll get it corrected. But I think we've done a great job, and shout out to that team for everything that they've done. Education and training. So we were looking to update all of our coursework and our online certificate program from Flash. We've talked about this multiple times, but for anyone that does not know, Flash is outdated at the end of this year going to next year. So we had to make sure that this data and this program was updated from the old learning management software into Flash. So, we've had success with that. There have been some positives with the pandemic. One of that is, I guess, given a little bit more time to be able to focus on that and actually pull that forward and get that executed ahead of schedule, which has been great. Looking to catalog the current training with a scored that lets know which lessons are good. So scoring our trainings, what need improvement, replace deleting, and what still needs to be added. So we're looking for that user feedback. So again, we know what training we have, what we have back in the stock room, and what's needed as we advance technologies and new programs as commissioning further evolves. And then also creating that clearer path for new entrants, being able to categorize some of these trainings into more entry level or introductory training, so they're going to the right location instead of just diving into that storeroom of information that we have. They're able to organize that in a little bit of a better manner, which has been great. Okay, looking for the organization of our advocacy efforts. So, we were looking to promote this committee to our members, mainly chapter leaders, as these are a lot of the leaders in our regional areas. We're looking to create a process for understanding the industry, for new opportunities and threats on a regional, on a national, on a global level, and looking for those resources back to the advocacy committee. So we know what's going on in each of our individual regions. For the most part, we know if it's happening somewhere impacting our industry, it probably has a larger impact on our industry overall, and there's a potential for it to, just float into other areas or be coming down the pipeline as everything kind of progresses. So I have a meeting. I'm 14 minutes overdue for a meeting. Oh no. Okay, sorry. So that's been great. Mr. Tom Poling has jumped on, and I believe right now he's chairing that committee. We are working on a path with our to create a path to work with our liaisons. Our liaisons being ASHRAE, ACG, NSPE, anyone who we work closely with, that we need to have a collective message and make sure that we're pulling on the same end of the rope. So it's been great to see that organization. Just something to keep in mind. It's something that the executive board and Liz and we as the BCA have been doing for years. It was just the formalization of it, so you knew what we were finding and think we could communicate it better. This was always kind of going on behind the scenes, making sure that we protected the industry. But just to make sure that we're being a little bit more transparent with what we're doing, the efforts for the advocacy, just to really understand the value that you get in being a member of the Building Commissioning Association, as a corporate member, individual, whatever it may be. Understanding that, so you understand the value that we're bringing to you and how we're advocating for you and us to have that stronger, better industry. So. Best practices. So this was a win. This was a hard win. We were looking to release this in 2020, and I think we even released it before we got into leadership. So it was a goal we set to make sure that we had a solid win. So this was released back in January, February. The ongoing best practices is a great document. If you haven't had a chance to review and go over it, I've had the opportunity to sit in on the training on it with Bruce and Tracy at ASHRAE, which was a great learning experience. Sitting down at the ASHRAE conference, it was great just to see the flexibility we have as an organization, in that we identified this goal about 10 months ago. At the time, it was 10 months prior, in 2019, early 2019. And to be able to come to market with the document that short after really shows how flexible and strong we are as an organization to be able to pull this forward. And then also the existing building best practices updated is going to include ongoing commissioning. So, plus a virtual conference. So can't say how much of a success this was. There was a little concern about doing this. It is obviously a big shift for us as being our first virtual conference. We definitely exceeded our budget projections of what we thought we were going to get. We also exceeded our attendance for individuals compared to our in-person conference, with 405 individual logins, and we're still selling the conference after the fact. So these numbers keep rising, providing revenue for us, continuing to train our industry, and just having a really great overall feedback. So, a huge shout out to our speakers who helped us create such quality content. It was great to see everyone virtually, especially in a time where we were, definitely hunkered down a little bit more than maybe we are today. And then also thanks to our sponsors track who stuck with us through the journey with these growing pains and not knowing especially how it was going to work out. But I think overall we've had just an overwhelmingly positive response. And once again, thank you to Mr. Tom Poling for really being the driving force behind this. In addition to the conference committee, can't say enough about them. We appreciate everything you do, and we know you do it year in, year out. So thank you so much for everything with this conference. And we'll look forward to what we need to do for future years, just to make sure that we have similar support and similar attendance with our future conferences. And then stars, and then stars were born or created. So we were looking to have a little bit more of a social media outreach. This resulted in a podcast with Mr. Ryan Lean and myself. This transitioned to a couple of vlogs promoting the conference with a couple of videos on YouTube. If you haven't seen them, they're still out there. And then a TV episode in Some Good Commissioning. And when I say TV episode, what was supposed to be kind of an infomercial turned into about a 30-minute segment. Probably too much listening and talking to me than anyone ever needs in any given span. So good news is that this will probably be the last time I address you in the foreseeable future at this length. So good news on that front. And then the social hour. So we had one previous successful social hour, as you can see below, with a great training. And now we have our market calendars for our second social hour, where we will announce the President's Award on November 18th, 2020 at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time and or 4:30 Eastern time. So get that locked in for now. And then the BCA store in Land's End. So this bad boy right here is one of my favorite shirts. I actually have 2 or 3 of them. So if you see me wearing it over and over again, I do have multiple. I do know how to do laundry. So There's a site on the BCA website in the resource section. There's some really great stuff on there. It's a quick and easy process, so make sure you get on there to get your long-awaited swag. And thank you for just supporting that, and hopefully we can all be wearing our swag at next year's conference in person. And then the Owners Committee. So for anyone that does not know, I've recently transitioned from the consulting side over to the owners side as a oversight of facility management for Brookhaven National Lab. I've been doing it for 3 weeks. So that being said, I feel I have the full qualifications to take full control over the Owners Committee and reinvigorate it. So at the core of it, we had an overwhelmingly positive response to our owner-focused presentations, one being Sandy Renshaw. And, we definitely think that we want to have more of this. We want to have more of the voice of the owner. We think it's good for the organization. We think it's good for our members. So we're looking to reinvigorate this for 2021, looking for inclusion with labs, tech giants, universities, healthcare institutions, whatever it is on the owner side that needs that voice, needs that support, we'll be looking for that. So if you do have any recommendations of people you'd like to see on the Owners Committee or people who are involved, please let us know so we can get them engaged, as quickly as possible for our new committee. And then, so I know you didn't think I was going to get away with this year without having a "Dude, Where's My Car" reference. So want to make sure I got at least one in there with the Ashton Kutcher classic. So thanks, Liz. Okay, so the 20 under 40 recognition program. So we are going to go through just quickly the names of the individuals. I'd like to pass it off to John Penney just to give us a quick update on kind of, you've been involved in this from the start. So just a little bit of feedback, your thoughts on the program, and let us know what you think.
Well, as you mentioned before, Dan, it was really interesting to get such a good turnout or number of applications for the recognition. And I have to say, having read through every single one of those, it was one person after the next I was impressed by. We've got some really talented young people out there in the business who have really taken commissioning to a new level in some senses. It's tough to find people that take a job on so passionately that they just see it through to its completion, such that it becomes a part of them. And as I read from one application to the next, it just seemed like those were the types of individuals that we were evaluating, which made it so difficult, quite frankly. As you mentioned, we had upwards of nearly 40 or so applicants. And as it's mentioned here, only 20 of the 40 to be recognized, at least at this first year. It was difficult. It was difficult to see some people not make it in some ways, but in no way do they not provide some passion to the commissioning effort. So with that being said, I want to congratulate all the 20 that have been recognized, and I don't know exactly where the list will end up. Probably in a checklist. I don't know whether the nominees or the oh, here we go. Here, at least a list of the 20 that are making the first list, first year. But congratulations to all of these people.
Yeah, so it's definitely great just to see the diversity, the inclusion, the age range. It wasn't just everyone at the kind of cusp at 39, 40 years old. It was really entry level, people who have stepped up in our industry and done some great things, to a little bit more seasoned professionals. I'll be honest, I'm glad that I formally excluded myself, because I would not have made the cut based on the amount of recognition that these individuals deserve. So a great shout out. I'll be honest, it was a learning lesson for me just to read, like John indicated, read what these individuals have done, their successes, and it's really impressive and really, really great. I did not realize the alphabet soup that these individuals had after their names, which is also definitely inspiring to see. So just great job for everyone if you've been recognized. You know, I know Liz sent out letters letting individuals know that they were at least nominated. I made the wrong error of not letting the people I nominated who did not win know. So they were a little bit surprised going, Dan, what the heck is this? So it was great to see those individuals still recognized as, you know, you are being even thought of as a leader in your industry, which I think is promising for them and will definitely make, you know, them pick up their head and go, hey, I didn't win this year, but I'm getting this thing next year. So.
Yeah, Dan and John, I'm going to chime in here on this. These guys did amazing. I also read a lot of the applications and it was impressive. We are going to be doing some more publicity push on this. Look for in your email for the full list and to read a little bit about each of these candidates. And I also want to point out how many of them are already active in the BCA and helping out at chapter and committee levels, showing their dedication to the profession. So to all of you, thank you very, very much.
Yeah, and Liz, just like you mentioned, I mean, that was really one of the deciding factors. You know, I'll say there was one individual I don't think who made the cut who had pretty much reinvigorated a whole commissioning program at a very large, tech company in the industry that, you know, worldwide, we all know it. I'm not going to name drop here, but just to see that, you know, they did not make it. You know, it was a great application, but just to see that level that we were, the quality of applications that we were getting was just, it was inspiring. You know, there was zero fluff in every application. So thank you to everyone who participated and all your winners. I'm hoping to see everyone in person, and I'll personally hand you a printed out copy of your certificate next year and buy you a coffee or a drink of your choice, which may get expensive. Maybe we need to do 10 under 40 next year, Liz. I don't know if I can afford 20 under 40. Okay, let's move on to the next. Okay, moving on to Mr. Runkle to quickly go over our finances.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dan. I think if we ever needed any other indication that this is a strange year, you can actually be treasurer of a large organization, miss revenue forecast by a couple $100,000. You don't even get yelled at. So actually, I think I got thanked a few times, which is kind of odd. So, but that's what happened. Not surprisingly to us this year. We had a plan, and then we had to come up with a new plan. Really thankful for Liz and Tom Poling, as previously mentioned, with some real good insight, because, you know, first of all, we had to manage some risk. We had to make sure that we had some flexibility in contracts and so forth. A large percentage of our cost has to do with the annual conference. As it was virtual, we were able to save some money, but we still had quite a bit of investment to get the virtual conference up and running. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for the terrific attendance and, you know, Tom's vision there, we would be having a different conversation today. There was a couple other things that we were hoping to get some payroll protection help. That didn't happen. We had a large grant we were chasing at NYSERDA. That didn't happen. We were also, prepared to do some salary and payroll adjustments, and we fortunately did not have to do that. So it was not a calm year. It was not a business as usual year. But I think it was a successful year, in that we are going to end up, in the black. And though we did miss our revenue targets, we were able to save a little bit more than what we missed on the expense side. And so I want to thank everybody that helped make that a successful year. To Dan's point before about the sponsors and so forth, we had great membership, especially on the new member side and so forth. And so thank you to everybody for helping me get through the year, from that. And as we look forward to next year, it's going to be another tough year. And I think the general approach that we are going to take is we're going to predict what we can control. And that is probably a year that mirrors 2020, at least to start. And we will be able to pivot to, perhaps doing some more in-person things and so forth as the nation allows us to. So, again, thank you for everybody for helping out. It really was a successful year. There's a lot of associations, a lot of other organizations that really are not in this financial position that are not in the position that we are in. And it's a testament to the folks in the team. So I think I'll turn it back over to Dan at that point, and he's going to talk some more about the future.
Yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate you giving us that update today. So next up, I think I'm passing this off to our future president, or our current president-elect, Mr. Ryan Lean, to give us a quick update. Loving the shirt, Ryan, and looking forward to your slide set. And I feel like I need one of those in a world overtones for your slides.
Can you start it off for me? Yeah.
2021.
Damn, I should have recorded that. Well, hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing okay. I want to first off thank John, who just talked about the Treasury update and the budgeting. And I think we might have forgotten to include Intertech as a sponsor exhibitor. That's probably an oversight, but I'm going to blame Dan for that, as I do most of everything. Been trying to impeach him for the entire year. It hasn't worked. So as it stands, I am now going to be taking over 2021 as your president. So I want to thank the membership for their trust in me, or, now that maybe that hope that there's trust there. And it's a position that I'm sure no one envies. Again, we don't know what's going to go on. I picked this background for good reason, because we don't necessarily know what the future is holding, especially right now. But you will see that there is some sun shining there, and that's what I want to focus on. So living and working in buildings, we know that's going to be different. It's already different. I'm working out of my house. I was in the office yesterday. Who knows what's going to be tomorrow as things, open and close. Buildings that we put up, these physical structures that we're working on every single day, we don't know how the occupancy is going to go forward. But even with those challenges, right, there are things that we should be aware of, right? We're going to be trying to balance energy efficiency, as we've been talking about forever. And we're going to try to balance that with all the indoor air quality that we now know about, right, in protection of our health and well-being. So even though, new rules and regulations and safety policies and et cetera are coming through, at the end of the day, our roles, responsibilities, our capabilities as commissioning providers are going to get us through the day. So if you go to the next slide, I want to take it back a little and take it back to 1989. And if you remember in 1989, maybe you don't remember the year, but that's when Back to the Future 2 came out, and it was, a great movie, or at least I thought it was a great movie. And it's funny because the future was 2015, to be specific, October 21st of 2015. That's the day that Marty and Doc arrived in the future. And so 2015 is now 5 years ago, right? We don't have any DeLoreans. There's no, cars that, take us to the future with banana peels and beer cans. Hoverboards, I think we may have some. They don't really work the way they did in the movie. So maybe we're kind of there. Flying cars, we definitely don't have there. So that's kind of what we expected, or at least what Hollywood told us, to expect in the future. If you go to the next slide, I want to talk about what we actually have, what we got, and what's potentially coming. And there's a couple of, in no particular order, and I picked these for no particular reason. I just wanted to show you what's exciting about the future, what's changing. So this is a concept in New York City for a U-shaped skyscraper called the Big Bend. Again, I don't know if this will ever get built, but it was in reaction to the government attempt to regulate the use of land. So, there's a height restriction, there's a land restriction. So why not push that limit a little? And what if we substituted height with length, right? What if our buildings were long instead of tall? And that's how this kind of U-shaped building, really the idea was born. So if it's built at 4,000 feet long, it would be the longest building in the world. I'm not sure how you get elevators over that hump at the top, but again, this is a reaction to what was presented in front. And again, I think it's an indicator of where we are potentially going, right? Just not to necessarily get caught up in what's going on, but really attacking the future and knowing that change is coming. Not to mention, it would certainly change the entire skyline of Manhattan, again, if it ever gets approved and built. And if you go to the next slide, getting out of this country and going across the pond, this is a potential building out in London, what would be London's newest and tallest skyscraper, called the Tulip. If you get a chance, I would look it up. I would Google it. It has a glass observatory. Norman Foster was the architect, for those of you who know, the Starchitect, I should say. It was blocked by the London mayor or government due to, for whatever reason, right? Maybe public benefit and other interesting reasons. It has a gondola ride, bridge attractions, essentially like hope, transformative stuff that's still coming in the future that I think is really exciting that we all can be a part of from our commissioning standpoint. And if you go to the last example of what's to come, this is kind of, less futuristic, but more where are we going? We're not sure. There's a lot ahead of us. The name of this is called the Bosco Vertical, and I may have gotten that wrong. I apologize. Its translation is vertical forest. So it's a pair of residential towers in the district of Milan in Italy. They say it's one of the greenest buildings in the world. There's two buildings there, one 364 feet tall, another 250 feet tall, 900 trees between the two of them with all these terraces. And basically that shade of greenery, right, provides natural shade, reduces the need for air conditioning, increases the natural habitat with birds and butterflies, et cetera, purifies the air intentionally. And the interesting side note, which I thought was also interesting for talking about the future, is that these towers now with all this greenery require a unique team to care for these plants. And what does that mean, right? It needs people who know plants and who know to climb and rappel, right? They're called flying gardeners, right? Because you have to imagine no one's going in and out of apartments all day long. You need to treat this from the outside. So a new market for these flying gardeners were born out of this change in kind of how we interpret buildings. And so those are coveted jobs and again, creating a whole new industry out of the building marketplace. So again, I'm looking forward to the future, even though we can potentially be fearful. And we talk about, how we had a great year despite. I'm looking to see if we can kind of push those limits going forward. So if you go to the next slide here, you hear a lot about future talk. Everyone's talking about future, and I know I'm trying to, engage, the membership here and get excited. So, but you can say great, more future talk. What does that mean? What does that mean specifically for the BCA? And I'm a big guy who likes to think about the why. Why are we doing it? Why are we even talking about this stuff? And the answer really is right now is we're not sure, but what we do know is that our mission, right, the BCxA mission has not changed, right? The pillars that are the foundation that we stand on, education, best practices, advocacy, and they go on. Those are all things that stand the test of time regardless of what we're facing. So no matter what the future holds and how much change is ahead of us, those pillars are really more important than ever. And if you go to the next slide, and we could click through this, Dan mentioned the website. I want everybody to go to the website and click through and try to figure out what's there. Our best practices, our essential attributes, they're going to be revisited. They always are, right? No matter what, there's always time, there's opportunity for improvement. But the best practices, or regardless of change, construction operations, that's what we're always trying to achieve. So no matter what the pandemic looks like, whatever's ahead of us, we want to go back to those best practices. We want to make sure our members, but non-members alike, right, are acting in accordance with what we feel is best suited for our industry. And if you go to the next one, this is more from the website. Now we're talking about advocacy, right? Our membership is used to change or adaptable by nature. There's a lot to look forward to. And advocacy has always been working for you. You may not have known that. We work for our members, and again, non-members alike. It's been in the background. It's been on code committees. It's been on traveling to different organizations and advocating for the commissioning industry as it stands in, again, energy codes and green building standards, et cetera. It's always been working, but due to some of the efforts we had in this past year, we've really, taken a strong stance and put a committee around it in order to formalize it, right? And part of that formalizing is making sure we're covering all the bases, right? Not just maybe nationally, but now focusing all on locally. And that's going to help, really, the chapters are going to need to help there as well. And we've been, starting those conversations. And then, disseminating that information to everybody so everyone has it, getting that information from the national level all the way down to the local level and advising the membership of really what's going on. So we're really excited about the Advocacy Committee. It's getting a lot of good momentum. And again, this is kind of a common theme. This shouldn't be anything new, but if you want to get involved on any of the committees, please feel free to reach out to any of the board members or any of the leadership of the BCA. And again, remember to check the website. So with all that said, again, and looking forward, we want to continue developing what has been really effective so far this year, with a lot of the focus on bringing in the younger next generation. But it's vital for us to continue to develop and strengthen our workforce. And our workforce is pretty diverse. We want to support the growing need for tech-savvy commissioning providers, right? Of all geographical levels, of all geographical locations, I should say, and all kind of seniority levels. So again, young and old, all backgrounds, and whether it's in person or online, we're always trying to find better ways. And I think that was pretty apparent again through this year, through our virtual conference, which was pretty effective. We've been working on our curriculum, right? Our education curriculum, keeping it up to date, like Dan had mentioned, moving to a new software program. And the communication, I have to say, personally, I found it extremely helpful, very communicative, with the checklist every couple of weeks, the new platforms, the engagement with the vlogs and the podcast, going on, updating the website and social media. Certainly, hopefully that's been good for everybody, and that's been helpful to disseminate some information to you guys. Again, anything on the feedback side is more than welcome. And then the next slide, really excited about this, record new member attraction. This is not a sales pitch. I'm not making this up. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't sincere and true. But new member attraction has been vigorous over the last 2 years. We've had our best 2 years in new member attraction in history. Had record, like I said, record recruiting members and record engagement this year, with everybody, as far as, again, committees, virtual conference, et cetera. Our market presence is growing. That's a good thing. And the challenge ahead, this is great news, but all great news comes with some kind of hooks here. And the challenge is that we want to keep that momentum going in the positive direction, and we're going to need everyone's help. The new members coming in, the retainage of those members is going to be something that I want to focus on for the next year, right? Keeping everyone engaged. What's the new information? How can we help everybody? How can we move forward on the advocacy side and elsewhere? So again, looking to everyone listening today and all the membership to be participating with that. And so I want to bring it back a little. We're talking about the future. I'm going up and down and all over the place here, but back to like the core values and the why are we doing things. The mission of the BCxA, right? What is our mission statement? It's to drive the built environment to the highest levels of optimization, right? And I want to reflect and reinforce this to everybody. And if you go to the next slide, Liz, the vision statement is related, right? And so the vision statement is a built environment worth inheriting. So why are we doing what we're doing? You'll notice the term commissioning, technically, like that word, isn't included in either statement. That wasn't an oversight. That's intentional. But commissioning is the mechanism to how we meet that end goal. It's the vision is a built environment worth inheriting. I think of my children. You probably think of yours. What are they going to inherit? What is the built environment going to look like? How do we get there? We're going to drive the environment to the highest levels of optimization. What are we going to do that? We're going to do commissioning, right? And commissioning, by definition, not quoting ASHRAE 0 now, but can change, right? We're talking whole building, and there's a whole slew of things associated with that. So again, going back to the core of why we're doing what we're doing, regardless of the future, want to focus on that mission and vision. And so in closing, again, we're asking to hear from everybody. Our tagline, working together, building excellence, is basically, calling to the membership at large and saying, we want to work together with you. We want to hear from you in order to, have this excellence and carry out our vision statement. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say on it. Again, please feel free. It's an open door policy. Just reach out to us. There's questions that you can ask right now. Dan and I committed to staying a little bit after and answering any questions you have. But just a couple of closing notes here. Check out the website, our website. I know we've said to check it out, but there's actually new events coming later this week, and new events will continue to be updated. So check out the website to see all the new events that are coming up. We're also in renewal period, right? Or it's starting shortly. We're in this membership drive format. So just be aware of your own membership, and then again, retaining all that positive new member drive that we've been having over the last couple of years. Going to ask everybody, just again, reach out, your coworkers, your friends in the industry, etc., and just remind them of the membership drive. It's been a great month so far, even on the membership side, and thank you for everything that you've done. And that's to everybody. And let's keep up the great work. Really looking forward to continuing all the great work that we did despite what was a tough 2020. Thanks, guys.
So, Mr. Forino, and see if we can, whatever that is.
I think you're muted, Dan.
That's a flying gardener.
Would you print it on a DOS printer?
Apparently, yeah. So if anyone has a printer upgrade, they can send over. Yeah. So.
Okay, so we did get one question, and I thought maybe we can try and help them out here. It is actually one that we've gotten in the office before too. As companies are looking to diversify, and bring young people in, bring more women into the engineering field. Do either of you have any suggestions on what companies can do to help with their diversification?
So is this a BCA question, or this is just a company question?
Well,
Either or.
Both. So like, what can the association do too? What could we be doing as an association to help pull other people in?
It's a question that's difficult, but also at the same time something that we need to be present and aware of. And the easiest, but also very subjective answer is we have to change what we do. And by that I mean not look in the same places and expect different results, right? So it's looking in new places. It's actively asking questions as opposed to passively waiting for something to happen. And from a recruiting standpoint, it's not going to the same 10 colleges or the same 10 job fairs. From the commissioning side of things, it's reaching over the aisle to someone who may have never thought that it's a career worth having, and starting those introductions. So I think at a minimum, we can't just hope that things will change, and there's just some work that we all need to do to try to kind of reach out and enforce that change on our end.
Yeah, so Ryan, I think you make a great point. One of the things that even in the 20 under 40 awards, they weren't all engineers. I think there was a physics major, there was an architectural background, and I was really proud to see some of our members go out and just say, I hire for character and train for skill, and find the person. Again, I mentioned before Marcus Myers would disagree because he's leading the road on commissioning degree, so maybe I should have caught myself earlier, but for the most part, there isn't a specific degree for this whole thing we call commissioning. So it's identifying people who have that drive, there's a personality that you have to be successful in this field, a knowledge base that can be trained, whether it be a technician, a physicist, someone just who has an interest in this. One of a coworker I worked with at a recent project had been on the concierge side at a hotel who got involved in sustainability and ended up being a lead commissioning guy for a large engineering company. And it was just a desire to learn. I think the thing with engineering is that we're one of the few careers that when you go into it, you typically don't diversify away from it, where if you're going in for an English degree, what the heck am I going to do with this? So we benefit from that, but we need to look at how we can bring other people in when they're not 18 and saying, I want to spend the rest of my life walking around buildings. Maybe that person made that decision at 22, 25, 39, and they can get that darn award, So I think that's great. And one thing that really stuck with me from Carl's presentation is mentorship. whether it be internal, external. Maybe you don't want to mentor internally in your company from a conflict of interest, or you just, not conflict of interest, but conflict of having that person not know what the heck you're talking about. There could be a fear there. So definitely embracing our mentorship side. Those introductions, I've had some, even while being on the international board, I've had some mentors here at the BCA. You're never too old for a mentor. It doesn't have to be a formal sit down, but definitely, a person you idolize and a path and so forth. So embracing that and moving that forward, I think we'll make leaps and bounds for getting us where we want to be.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. We have another question here that I think you both are going to love. And that is the fact that people love your podcast and want to know if you're going to keep doing them and when the next one's coming out.
We are, at least we're planning on it. I do have to apologize with my transition and all the fun stuff that's going on. It's been a little bit more difficult, but they are not dead. I can tell you that I've met a handful of people that have offered me stories of flooding machine rooms on day 1, day 2 of careers, and I go, I've got a podcast for you, my friend. I've got an opportunity for you to speak. So definitely, the process may have to change a little bit. I'll
hard
say,
to get in a room. Yeah.
Hard to get in a room doesn't mean we can't do it this way. I think there's definitely a video burnout. I try not to look at myself during these things just because I'm sick of looking at myself.
I try the same thing, Dan.
I didn't think it would happen. Yeah. So but it's I think we're all sick of looking at ourselves and doing these things. So it will be modified. I'll say I learned a lot. I had a lot of fun doing them. I've got no reason to shut them down. So.
Liz, you don't have to publicly shame them, but send me the info because they're our next guest on The Price is Right.
So you called us out. What you got?
Well, the next question that we have here, and if John Runkle is still on, I might have him hop on for a minute with this one. And the question is, are we planning on having a building enclosure commissioning certification? And as of the moment, the answer is no. However, there are some others that are looking at it. And John Runkle's kind of been a liaison for us on a couple of committees that are looking at putting a certification together for that. So we know that it's coming. It got delayed, but the BCA or the BCCB in particular are not currently looking at adding that to our list. Always open to ideas and how that might work, but as of now, I can tell you that answer. And I think we lost Mr. Runkle. But so that's the answer to that one.
In true BCA fashion, I mean, we could volunteer him for it since he's not in the call anymore and just tell him that he's doing that now, I think, right?
Yeah, same thing. Whoever wrote that, they're putting the program together. So you'll send me that name.
Good news.
Oh, good Lord. We have one more question, and I'm going to tell you it's from me. And we have had, this kind of tough year, but the humor that you guys have provided has been phenomenal. I've heard that from others. I might give Dan a hard time for sometimes acting like a child, but he's kept us going, even when he was in a bunker and not able to see his family for a few months, helping out at the LaGuardia place. But moving forward, it used to be we had a vision statement that had, 10 things attached to it back, dating myself a long time ago. And one of them was, how do we keep the fun going? How do we make things so we can engage our members in other ways than just, come to the next webinar and learn how to do this? We're talking about the social hour, but you guys got other ideas for us?
I was just going to pop one of those mustache pictures in every one of my presentations, and I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, and acting like a child, it is not an act. I am a child, so it's no. I think it's. I've heard some good ideas. I've heard some ideas that are a little aggressive, isn't the word, but it's idealistic for our times right now. That doesn't mean that they're a bad idea. I think that we should welcome any and all of them. I think that our nature is we're hands-on. Commissioning, we're hands-on. We want to be around each other. We want to sit around a fire and tell these stories. So, whatever that is, whether it's smaller, more intimate interactions, I'll say I appreciate. I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Craig Hatch for inviting us to the rodeo for this year, which we couldn't go to, unfortunately. Hoping to get there next year. Things like that. If there's interactions that we're having in our markets, it doesn't mean that we can't share them. We can't do these virtual things to participate, understand them. I didn't even know that rodeo, and I'm calling it Stampede, Vancouver Stampede. Is that Calgary Stampede? Sorry.
Yes.
Yep. So,
yes.
I didn't know that was a thing, and now I do. And being locked inside for the last, since March, put me on a plane. Get me somewhere. So definitely invitation, sharing, and just that personable, let's all work together kind of approach, I think will help.
Yeah,
So we got an idea from one of the attendees, guys. I think you'll like it too. And that's how about a 2 a.m. mechanical bull riding contest.
Ooh, I've got that on lock already. So I thought you said Runkle signed off. Yeah.
No, I think it's important that we do think about that. And in coming to that, just got another comment. They're doubtful that Dan will get through Canadian customs, so we might have to send somebody else. We do have our social hour coming up, and Tracy Jumper and Jesse Secura are going to be hosting it. And Tracy's done a few of these for other events, and she does a fabulous job. So we're really looking forward to see what Jesse and Tracy can pull together for us. And it is on November 18th, as we pointed out earlier. It's a Wednesday, and we want to make it very interactive. We are moving from GoToWebinar to Zoom so that we can have some rooms where we might have different games going on and some creative things that we're going to work on. So stay tuned for that, because we would like to engage as many of our members as possible to join us on that and keep the BCA family going, and not have us get too isolated in these trying times. So keep that in mind. We're always looking for ideas on how to connect with everyone, chapters especially. And as Ryan pointed out, we have chapter events coming up. Please look at the website, find out when those are, and register. Always feel free to call the office. We like to take calls. We get lonely here too sometimes. So.
And turn on those cameras.
Yes, definitely.
I don't want to go over time here, get everyone out, right on the hour if we can, but fun doesn't necessarily mean that we have to do the 2 a.m. bull riding, although I love a 2 a.m. bull ride as much as the next one. And whoever said that, if they have a video, I'm coming after you. But I mean that, like, fun means that when I'm on a membership call and the video cameras are on and I recognize a friend that I met through the BCA at one of the events, and now they're, a committee member, that I could, give them a little jab or her a little jab here or there. Fun means I could call someone like I did the other day, asking them to contribute, and then having a reaction of, so happy that you called. Fun to me is all of those things. And it's all part of being, part of the membership. So as much as I am really hoping and praying that we're going to see you live and in person at the next conference, I think if that doesn't happen, there's still things that we certainly can do in the interim. So get those cameras working, find some good lighting, and we'll definitely see you soon, hopefully.
Yes, and with that, we are at the hour. I do want to thank all of you for your attendance today and your diligence listening. We do have an annual report coming out. You'll get an email about that and be able to download it and get further details on what you heard today. But thank you again, everyone. We appreciate you being here.
See you,
everybody.